For some of the people, they say 0.25%. Where did INEC get their figures from? That's not the sense that we got of the failure of card readers. Did you really buy that story from INEC?
Well, as much as INEC did not provide the empirical basis to arrive at 0.25%, but to me, as an electorate, to me as a Nigerian, the card reader endorsed the victory of Nigeria in 2015 election because it minimized violence, it minimized the issue of the vulnerability of the voters to violence. But without the card readers and the technology, of course, you will have had people running into the bush. You will have had the police cells filled up by now. There will have been a lot of deaths and all that.
You know, I'm really, I'm impressed that you're saying this, and I'll tell you why. Because before the elections, we saw how the battle to whether or not to use the card reader was raging, and at the heart of it was the PDP saying, no, people will be disenfranchised. Use the TVCs and the PVCs. And, you know, they said that was their reason. But now it's after the elections, at least the presidential elections, the morning after, and you say, even though we never got your viewpoint at that point in time, is your standpoint currently being influenced by the president's response when the card reader did not work at his polling unit, or you've always held this view all along?
I can tell you that even in the unit I voted in my village of Oton in Esreke, the card reader failed. But that did not in any way erase what was fundamental, for people to vote. People voted, people got accredited, and there was no violence, there was no intimidation. So, and at the same time, there were various schools of thought at the time of the introduction of the card reader. You still had some APC people who expressed misgivings, just as much as members of other political parties. So it wasn't a misgiving born out of PDP as a party. There were various opinions canvassed and articulated on various grounds. But that did not mean that PDP was not ready for election. And I can also let you know, too, that if the president will be the type of some kind of human beings that we know exist in our society here, he will have manipulated the process and create a situation of chaos. But I think he thinks so much about Nigeria as he demonstrated yesterday. And for that, let us not bother about what went wrong. Let us now be concerned about what will work. The future now. Nigeria is already on the path now. So let's take it out from the hands of these political leaders and allow this country to work.
Well, anyway, we'll stay with you, and we hope the picture on that Twitter will be, did I say Twitter? Well, Skype will be restored. We still can hear you very much, Esema Ibo, giving us your very incisive perspective on this particular election in the country, presidential election, so to speak. As soon as we get back to him, we'll be asking him a couple of other questions. But for you, Dr. Ashiru, let's share this with you. It's from Joseph Adewale, and he's talking about the moral of this particular victory, which I would also want Mr. Ibo to comment on. He said that President Goodluck Jonathan might not have given the nation a cheerful economic performance and all that, but he has demonstrated a replica worthy and commendable attitude that's so unexpected and unthinkable of him, especially from a Nigerian president. Tell us, do you share the same view with Joseph?
Honestly, I do. You know, quite a number of people who were not Jonathan's or President Goodluck Jonathan's fans before now, and if the electoral history of Nigeria is anything to go by, I think that President Goodluck Jonathan deserves a lot of commendation for this uncommon show of sportsmanship, for this magnanimity in, you know, conceding at that time he did, in spite of the melodrama we witnessed, you know, towards the concluding part of the collation exercise. A president could have, a mischievous president could have exploited that situation to say, look, yeah, this process is, and then begins to, you know, create a situation where, you know, the credibility of the entire process will be in doubt.
You know, he set a stand. Sorry to cut you there, because I'm also, in addition, trying for us to look at the way forward here. What lessons can be learned from this particular action he's just shown the people, and possibly so if politicians in the future, we have other elections coming in, and of course Nigeria's democracy, they say, will experience series of elections. Now it has turned into what you would call scattered elections somehow. What lessons can this be taken by politicians and even close watchers of political science?
Yeah, the lesson is that we must all understand that election should not be a do or die affair. And that in all elections, some people must emerge as winners, some will certainly lose. One lesson also is that we can now say that Nigeria's democracy is on the verge of being consolidated. And what I mean by that is, you will say that democracy is on the verge of being consolidated when yesterday's losers can be today's winners, and today's winner can be tomorrow's losers, and everybody would accept the verdict of the people once it is expressed through the ballot box. So the point to take away, the lesson to take away is that, and this is an uncommon precedent that the president is laying, because now anybody who wants to foment trouble after an election, they will always refer him to this episode. But you can remember that a sitting president once considered defeat even before, you know, the declaration by the umpire. So I think it's victory for democracy, victory for Nigeria, and all other politicians down the line must learn and emulate, you know, this act by the president. And let us not forget that this trend started with the election in Ekiti, where, I mean, amidst all of the acrimonies, Governor Fayemi also called Governor Ayofayoshi to say that, look, if this is the wish of the Ekiti people, then so be it. So I think that our politicians would, you know, key into this newfound spirit of sportsmanship, which is all that democracy dictates.
Well, Honorable SMA, if you can hear me, I was just wondering though, how do you think that the PDP will weather this? Do you think that this will be a period of retreat and regrouping, or are you afraid that you might have too many decampees? How do you think the members of the PDP will handle it?
I can tell you that the outcome of this election is a handbook given by Nigerian people to all the political parties. And APC is the most vulnerable, because by the declaration of yesterday and the APC now producing the president-elect, they have already started a journey of swift descent. Why I call it a journey of swift descent is that if they are not careful in the management of this victory, they will go in a worse manner than the way people of this election. So, and if they are also careful about good students of a emerging political culture, they will use the handbook very well and read this first chapter, which is the PDP's failure. They read this chapter and it will help them to govern Nigeria. And it will also help in the next chapter is the chapter of political party management and its internal democracy. Because we have succeeded in this country in building individuals and their fortresses instead of the institutions. And the absence of the institution, we are going to do with any particular individual. The absence of the institution is what is creating this problem. So the issue of deflecting or decamping is neither here or not there, because there is no principle in our political culture, there is no ideology among the political parties. It's just a franchise, you know, for people at any given time to decide on where the weather most suit them.
Well, Dr. Ashiru, you know, he's talked about internal democracy there and how this has revolved around personalities, around persons. Do you think that now political parties will be forced? Because a lot of people will say that where the APC began to get mileage was in the conduct of their presidential primaries. Do you think that parties now will be forced to go through that very torturous but maybe eventually profitable process of internal democracy?
Well, in my own opinion, you know, the whole thing is all about leadership recruitment process. I've always said this. Leadership recruitment process to the extent that we as a people should be able to have clusters of...
Well, I'm afraid, Honorable Ivo, we'll come back to you very soon. Let's just go on a quick break here and we'll return shortly.
Sorry.